So let's start with the initial configuration of these devices. The very first device we want to configure is Cisco UCS. So we go to the console, and as you can see, we have two available methods for configuration. One is the console and the other one is through the GUI. You can choose either one of the two methods. In this example, we'll just choose the console configuration. So this is a new setup. You provide the password for the admin. This will be part of a cluster, so we'll just say yes. This is the A switch. So it seems like the first Fabric interconnect is already configured. We're going to log into the second Fabric interconnect. Another FI is already detected. Say yes. Fabric interconnect B is brand new, so let's give it an IP address. Now that we have assigned an IP address to the UCS FIs, we should be able to point a web browser and get this screen from where we will launch the UCS manager. So as part of the setup process, the system wants to reboot the Fabric interconnect. So we'll go ahead and apply the change. If you are deploying Fibre channel configuration, we need to convert some of the unified ports to the Fibre channel mode. And when we do that, it requires a reboot as well. You just do this procedure up front so that before you start any further configuration, the ports which are connecting to the Fibre channel switches are in the correct mode. So at this time, let's look back at our physical setup to see which ports need to be converted to the Fibre channel ports. So as you can see in the diagram, we need to convert ports 1 and 2 into the Fibre channel ports. So after selecting the Fabric interconnect A, we select configure unified ports and then use the slider to select the number of ports we want to convert into the Fibre channel. The minimum number of ports I can convert is 4, and since I was using ports 1 and 2 only, I will select only the 4 ports and then click OK. Configuration will result in an immediate reboot of the Fabric interconnect. Say yes, and the FI will be rebooted. Something which I should have done is to make this change on the Fabric interconnect B first, the subordinate Fabric interconnect. Now that we have made the change on the primary and the primary reboots, it will take a couple of minutes before we can get access back into the Cisco UCS. That is when the Fabric interconnect B becomes the new primary. So in your case, I would recommend making the change on the subordinate FI first before you make the change on the primary. So in this case, since I configured the primary first, I'm seeing a connection error. I just have to be patient and wait for UCS manager login screen to come back. In your case, if you do it in the right order, you won't run into this issue. After waiting for a few minutes, the UCS manager screen is back and I need to log back in. So on the Fabric interconnect A, we change these ports to the fiber channel ports, and when I hover my mouse over them, you can see the first 4 ports of FC ports, and then after that the Ethernet port starts. Let's look at the Fabric interconnect B. These ports are still Ethernet ports, so we'll have to repeat the same procedure. Configure unified ports, move the slider, pick the 4 ports to be the fiber channel ports, say OK, yes, and this particular Fabric interconnect will now reboot, and when it comes back, these 4 ports will be the fiber channel ports as well. So that kind of completes our initial configuration for the UCS. So we did not need to upgrade the UCS in the lab, but if you need to upgrade the UCS, now would be a good time to upgrade it as well. The management interface is configured, the cluster is configured, the ports are configured to be fiber channel ports. If you weren't using the fiber channel, then you wouldn't need to perform this procedure, but in our case we want to showcase both iSCSI and fiber channel using our automation framework, so we made sure that the ports connecting to the MDS were changed right here. We'll now move on to the Nexus and then to MDS to perform similar initial configuration steps. I'm going to log on to the first Nexus switch. Board power on auto provisioning, the answer would be yes. So just disabled POP. Yes, we want a secure password. So now we're going through all the other questions about the password as well as IP addresses, setting up NTP, etc. So once we're done with the wizard, we'll save the configuration. And please do remember that we need to repeat these steps for the second Nexus switch as well. In the interest of time, I'm not going to cover the second Nexus switch, but basically you follow the same procedure and use appropriate IP addresses and passwords, etc. for the Nexus second Nexus switch. Let's move on to configuring the MDS switches now. We just stopped the auto provisioning by typing yes. Would be a little hard to see. Just as we did for Nexus, we are going to go through the wizard, provide the appropriate passwords and IP addresses, NTP servers, etc., and then save the configuration for the MDS as well. And also, as a reminder, please do this for the second MDS switch as well, since that's not covered here in the interest of time.